Whoopi Goldberg explodes on Jedediah Bila live on air. She's not used to being reserved and poised. Let's take a look at the madness together.
Welcome back. Bill Maher has his own thoughts on why Democrats came up short and how Republicans tapped into what voters really wanted to hear. Take a look.
Ease up on the identity politics. They pulled off quite a neat trick in 2016. They made white people, who are still the majority in this country, feel like a minority, or at least enough of them to swing the election. So I think that's important, to make sure you look like you represent everybody, including the majority.
He blames identity politics. So the fact that the guy who got elected, that he started out with identity politics. He started his campaign off with identity politics. Maybe people felt like they were getting rained on. Maybe I'm crazy. But I guess he's saying Democrats spent too much time on movements like Black Lives Matter and transgender rights and not enough time talking to the white majority.
Exactly what you just said the Democrats did to nominate their best candidate, Joe Biden. He made empty promises to the people and they followed him. He gave hope and took it right away. He tried to make sure we didn't worry about tomorrow, and what happened? We're afraid to let our kids out alone because there are tons of migrants and possible terrorists in the country. What do you say to that, Whoopi?
I don't think this clip is the... I know the clip that's starting the conversation, but he spoke once before where he had a really powerful clip where he started to talk about while Democrats and liberals were busy policing language and what pronoun to use, Republicans were taking over grassroots level government. And I thought there was a point to be had here, which is I think right now in this day and age, when you think of identity politics, you're talking about gender, you're talking about sexual identity, you're talking about race, you're talking about all of these hats. And I think the thing is when you answer or dissent against one of these, like a conversation about one of these, you're immediately dismissed as privileged or an ist, whatever ist.
When you do what?
When you dissent, when you bring up a point that might be counter to the point being brought up, a discussion, you're instantly dismissed as privileged and or an ist, whatever ist.
Sexist, racist,
homophobic, you know, you get that label. And I think the problem there is there are people that would be allies to these causes if there was an inclusion. What we do is when there's dissent, we dismiss people. So they can't be in the conversation. I think the second thing is it goes against, it's counterproductive to those movements, which have forever been about engaging the individualism within those groups. And I think they work against their own cause when all they do is wear, like my brother always says to me, I'm a gay man, but I'm much more than that every time I call him out on that.
But I would say that the business...
Of course it is. We can't say anything in favor of a person who belongs to any minority. We will immediately receive negative comments and possibly lose what we have. That's the truth these days.
I think what he's trying to do actually is reform the Democratic Party over time. And what he's saying is that oftentimes, and I feel this as a female, when Democratic politicians talk to me as a woman and talk about women's issues, they talk about things related to my ovaries. And I always come back and I say, jobs and but they don't. But jobs and health care, those are women's issues too. And I think that's what's missing.
What do you think your ovaries are? That's part of women's.
But I think in this campaign in particular, because it was a woman president, you heard a lot of break the glass ceiling, vote for her because she's a woman.
What?
No, but vote for her because she's the best candidate, woman or man.
Do you not know that we went through the same thing? We went through the same thing.
Can I clarify something real quickly? When we reduced, what I'm saying is I understand why there are politics and identifiable groups. I went to an all-women's college. It's because we couldn't go to other schools at the time when they were developed. I get that. People should build each other up and be in these groups, but when it's the only flag you fly, you're missing the uniting factor, I
Except that when it's the only flag that's flown against you, like what I was going to say to you about identity politics, you know, people would walk up to people and say, you just voted for Barack Obama because you're black. Not because he was the best candidate, because you don't, people don't assume that we're smart enough to recognize the better candidate.
Jedediah Bila has expressed her opinion, and I think it's correct, but it's not for Whoopi, who immediately jumped on her and started challenging all her arguments with shouting. And unfortunately, Whoopi, you so think that if a candidate has a lot of dark-skinned people and sympathizes with you outwardly, then that is the best candidate. You choose not because of what a person does for our country, but because of who they work with and what they promote. That's your rotten bottom line. What do you think about that? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.